intense, bone-crushing rivalry.
This is the top of the mountain, and we've been climbing.
So we'll just make that our #1 goal, beat Miami in Florida.
Frustration, no doubt, about last year's situation, and you can't help but think about it.
I just say they better buckle up because we're ready and we're coming at them.
I'm gonna let them speak whatever they want to speak. My action speaks out on the field.
The cornerstones of leadership. The University of Florida seniors collecting their thoughts and preparing to battle arch rival Florida State for the very last time. And it's all part of ESPN's College Football Saturday. Kevin, the series history.
First time 1958. Florida, as you can see, you might be surprised by the fact that Florida holds an edge if you're not familiar with this program. But Florida State, a late blooming program, and Florida in 31 meetings, 22 wins. Last time they met, Florida State walloped them 52-17, and you can bet they have not forgotten that here in Gainesville.
Well, Bobby Bowden's school, actually in the late 40s, was still a girls' school. That's one of the reasons they haven't been playing football for that long. And his career numbers against the Florida Gators. On the other side of the field tonight, his young competitor, Gary Darnell, only met Bobby Bowden tonight for the very first time at 7 o'clock when the two teams came out on the field. John Francis kicks it off, and we are underway. Dexter Carter, 5 yards deep. He will not return it. And now for tonight's die-hard starting lineups. Peter Tom Willis, who has had such a sensational year, opens at quarterback. Dexter Carter and Edgar Bennett, the running backs. The wide receivers, Lewis and Anthony to start. The tight end, Dave Roberts. The center, Michael Tanks. He's a great one. Haynes and Yeomans are the guards. And the tackles, Robert Stevenson and John Brown. Seminoles lost the opening 2 games of the year. They lost up in Jacksonville to Southern Mississippi. And then they lost to Clemson, the game that we had on. And the numbers on Peter Tom Willis at his last game against Memphis State. That was on November the 18th. Carter, here in the backfield, he will have absolutely nothing. His number 90, Huey Richardson, steps up to pop him and good along with Murray. Brad Culpepper opens at nose guard. The two defensive tackles, Mark Murray and Philip Johnson, gets the start tonight. Miles and Richardson at the outside backer spots. Pat Moore and Jerry Odom on the inside. The cornerbacks, 2 very good ones. Kerry Watkins and Richard Fain. At the safeties, Will White and Ephesians Bartley. On 2nd and 13, Carter tries the right side. Gets it back to the line of scrimmage. Being stacked up by Philip Johnson, who is starting tonight replacing Tony McCoy, who was suspended for the team and from school.
And that is probably one of the problems. This is a great defense for Florida. In fact, the last 2 or 3 years, they've had outstanding defensive personnel. Their problem, they're a little bit small, although they're very quick, and they don't have much depth. And that could prove fatal late in the game.
3rd down conversions for the Noles, and they need the 30. Swings it out, has it complete, and Florida State will pick up the first down with Edgar Bennett out of the backfield, good for 11.
Very well conceived, as most of Florida State's plays are, but Richard Fain made a critical error at the cornerback position. He waited for Bennett to run to him. Had he come up, he might have stopped him before he went for the first down. Gave too big of a cushion.
Here's Gary Darnell, the young interim head coach, who has really done a magnificent job with this team amidst all kinds of pressures. Dexter Carter, great eyesight, vision of the field, weaves his way out to the 39-yard line. Willie White, the freshman out of Tallahassee, comes up to make the stick.
Dexter Carter runs like a big back, but he is not big. He's very quick and very tough, about 172 pounds. And this is where you will have success against Florida. Just getting a man on him, get those big offensive linemen on him, and let Dexter find his way through the maze that is the offensive line. Straight ahead running power will work against Florida. They're not that big.
Willis drills it, almost intercepted. Stepping in front is Jerry Odom, who had the marvelous game back against Auburn, you might remember.
Jerry Odom's dad, the national director of high school coaches. He comes from a coaching family, not real big or fast. Great instincts, though. Watch 57. He could smell this one all the way. Just couldn't catch it.
Odom only 5'10", 221 pounds. A junior out of Merritt Island, Florida. That school really produces some very fine college players. Movement on the left side. Stevenson came out of his stance, and then Peter Tom Willis is decked. And Florida State is saying, hey, wait a minute, how about another flag?
Well, Pat Moore obviously did not hear the whistle after the flag, and he went after Peter Tom. There was no second flag. It's going to be a procedure penalty, and this will be the second straight 3rd and long that Florida State will have. And now, if you play Florida State, that's exactly what you want.
Dead ball fall. False start. Interior lineman move. Offense.
SEC and Southern Independence split crew tonight. That was Rom Gilbert, who is the referee in tonight's ball game of the SEC. Odom comes on the blitz. Hit and knocked down is Bennett after gaining about 3. Takes it out to the 40. It's Godfrey Miles.
Anything that you run against Florida that allows their pursuit to become a factor is going to be a problem. If you run it straight ahead at them and blow them out of there, you can pick up great yardage. But if they have an opportunity to chase you down, they will.
Charlie Ward, an average of just about 38 yards per kick. Line drive. Florida almost touched the football. Good heavens. Then let's take a look at the Florida offense as they come on the field for the first time. The freshman Donald Douglas at quarterback. He'll have behind him Emmitt Smith and Cedric Smith. The wide receivers, Stimmons and Mills, I beg your pardon. Kirkpatrick gets the start at tight end. Cal Dixon is at center. White and Bromley are the guards, and the tackles, Neely and Durden. To throw and first down, going long and overshoots. Kirkpatrick is tied in by about 8 yards. Let's take a look at the Seminoles defense tonight. Odell Higgins gets the call at nose guard. Outside, Eric Hayes and Henry Ostaszewski. Thompson and Grant are the outside backers. On the inside, Keith Carter and Kirk Carruthers. The cornerbacks, Leroy Butler, he's a great one, and McCorvey. And the safeties, Dodge and Bill Reagans.
Have to look out for the option tonight. Donald Douglas was an option quarterback in high school.
Emmitt Smith, first carry, weaves his way, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
All right, when you run a tailback offense in I formation, you're really just handing it to the I-back and waiting for your blockers to get their shoulder pads on someone. Wait for Emmitt to step back as he did. And he's through the hole for 8 or 9 yards. Just a great player. John Durden, number 72, on Hayes. One-on-one, takes him inside and just puts him down.
Florida State steps up with the backers, but the keeper by the quarterback, Douglas, has the first down, plus about 8 more.
Now there's your option, Donald Douglas. They have not shown a great deal of option football to this point, but Florida State was susceptible early in the year to the option. Douglas doing a nice job, and what this does, it reduces Florida State's great athletic ability, their pursuit, to assignment football, and they had their problems. Southern Mississippi was an option team, so was Clemson. Both losses.
Emmitt Smith in motion. They swing the pass out to him. Grant is out there, and then he's shoved out of bounds on the near sideline by McCorvey.
I want to be clear now, Southern Miss didn't beat them with the option. but being an option team and using the option really creates a problem in preparation. And Clemson is a power option, power I football team, and Florida State had a nasty time with them as we did that game.
Kevin, you saw number 47, Kevin Grant, the senior out of Ocala, who did a good job of containment on the outside, and then lots of white jerseys coming up in quick pursuit. Emmett Smith has the toss, goes airborne, going to be stopped after a gain of about 3 on the play. It's Keith Carter, number 59.
You can trace the improvement of Florida State's defense this year to Eric Hayes, number 78. Watch him get his hands on 2 people, play off them, move outside, exactly what you're supposed to do. He lets the blocker take him to the ball carrier. That's great defense by Eric Hayes, and he has been a major difference in this defense so far this year.
3rd down. They need the 39. Douglas rolls the pocket. As it complete, that is good for the first down to Stacy Simmons.
One of the frustrations, we talked about it at the head of the show, one of the frustrations for this Florida team, the wide receivers have not been getting in the game because they had the young quarterback. Well, you can see the improvement of Donald Douglas. He takes it to the corner, forces the defense to come up, and throws a strike to Simmons. That'll make Simmons real happy, even though he was pounded pretty good on that play.
Almost intercepted as Butler got turned around and Leroy had a shot at it. Went off his fingertips, incomplete.
This is a great story. The guy that had to come in for Neon Dion, and how could anybody follow up and act like that? Very quietly, Butler has done it. Tremendous year, 7 interceptions and a great player.
I hope everybody got to see the feature on Butler this morning on game day. A youngster that wore braces, or cast actually, on his legs to the age of 5, and then wore braces until he was in high school. Lomax. Oh, what a hit that is. Eric Hayes, the senior from Tampa, who smelled it out, played off the block, and whacked him down.
They tell you when you play defense, they tell you never mind the ball. The blocking will take you to the ball. Watch 88. He feels the pressure on the outside. Why would they be blocking me that way if they didn't want me to go this way? Guy 280 pounds that can make a spin move like that, get outside and stop a reverse. That's a great player.
Florida in the situation that Whitey Jordan said they wanted to stay away from, and that is a 3rd down and long, and they need 10 yards. Douglas, is there room to run? Gets by 1 and then will not get by the next 4. Great pursuit. Shelton Thompson, the outside linebacker on the left, the man who got to him first.
Talked about the speed of the Florida defense. Florida State, they're no pikers. They can run.
Hank Roan to kick it away. Stands back at his own 49-yard line. Florida State with nobody back deep. Well, he had a chance to nail this one with nobody back, and he kicks it into the end zone. The kick 37 yards, and now a fight has broken out in the field down at the 20-yard line, and markers all over the place, and players coming from both benches.
A couple of things to remember here. Florida State beat this team very badly last year, and all year the Florida players have had some difficult disappointments. It's pent-up frustration.
So the Seminoles will take it over at their own 20. 8:58 left in the first period.
We rejoin the game late in the first quarter with Florida State and Florida still scoreless. Florida State has the ball on their own 27-yard line, 1st down and 10, here on ESPN Classic.
Before the break, I was telling a story. We were talking to a coach earlier in the week from Florida State and saying, well, this rivalry has kind of died down a little, hasn't it? He says, well, it has changed some. It changed from absolute hatred to to pure hatred. He was kidding, of course, I think.
Peter Tom Willis going to throw on first down. He's going for it all, looking for Lewis, and can't hold on down at the 20-yard line. Watkins with the cover.
Boy, that was close. What a pass by Peter Tom Willis, and Watkins all the way here. Now he's going to throw this thing as far as he can. Watch Watkins' left hand. This is 65 yards in the air. Watch his left hand as the ball is coming in blue. Strips it right through the receiver and strips the ball. Trailing him all the way. This is just, that's interference first, but also excellent defense. Got his hand on him a little early there, but nice play, nice play.
Gary Watkins is a senior, Pensacola, Florida. Carter hit in the backfield, and that's Tim Paul who will knock him down for a loss. Another flag, this one in the secondary at the 35. Personal foul against Florida. After knocking Florida State down for a loss, they not only will give up 15 yards, but a new set of downs.
Personal foul. Defense. Automatic first down.
Penalties starting to pile up. 4 for 50 yards against the Gators. 2 against Florida State for 17 yards.
That's 30 yards in the last 3 plays for Florida when they're beginning to develop some momentum defensively.
Clock runs with 3 minutes 40 seconds left in this opening period. Neither team has been able to crack it open as yet as far as getting on the board. Willis going to go long again. Anthony all alone. He'll score.
Anthony came in with 443 yards in receptions, and this is just tremendous protection. And then Peter Tom again throwing the post as far as he can. I think it was Richard Fain that was beaten on the post. It wasn't Anthony. And they have 4 excellent receivers on this team, and whenever they get man-to-man coverage, they are extremely dangerous. And that kind of protection, give some of that to the offensive line.
62 yards in the play. Extra point is up, and Andrews nails it through. And the Seminoles go on top 7-0. Just that quickly, they can strike from any place on the field.
Very important for this team to get on the board against this crowd. All right, here's Peter Tom. You can see how much time he had. And well, there's no one else in the picture.
You can see Richard Fain, number 28, come into the picture. But very, very late.
All right, now we call these super stats over the last 3 seasons. The overall record for Florida State, the Seminoles on the left, 30-4 for Florida, 20-14 against teams that have gone to bowls, and it's updated till today. Florida State 15-3 against teams that have been bowl teams. And look at the University of Florida, 3-12. The Red Marks' second best record in the nation. 2 of those losses, the University of Miami.
Kicking off is Bill Mason. 7-0. Seminoles on top. Lomack and Simmons back in a deep safety, and this is going to be short. It's going to come down to Lomack at the 11. 25. Flag is down, and he breaks it clear. Has 1 man to beat. Will be caught at the 23-yard line. But as we said, there are 2 markers down back at the 38-yard line.
Ooh. Penalties, just murdering Florida. The thing about emotion in a game, you get so emotional. This game for Florida means so much. Could erase a lot of bad things that happened this year.
Holding on the run back. Receiving team. First down.
Kevin, talk about what the early playing behind does to Douglas. A young man who they're given a little bit more latitude to, but now this means what Florida State can change a little bit what they're doing up front, can't they?
Yeah, they can. Well, the 7 points, I'd say another 3 points as you get later into the game could be a problem, but it does work on him. He would have liked to have been even or ahead in this game so he could use it all, the whole offense.
Perry. Check it, it's Emmitt Smith. 22. Keith Carter will make the hit and knock him down at the 31.
I think the penalties, if we go back to that last drive and the long pass for a touchdown, Florida gave Florida State field position with penalties, a first down near midfield, and they were able to go long. That's what the penalties mean in this game. Maybe Florida State wouldn't have tried that pass had they been further back in their own territory.
Emmitt Smith again. Great job defensively. Look at all the white jerseys on the short side of the field.
Well, the same thing is true of the Florida State defense as the Gator defense. If you get the player like Emmitt turn laterally, the speed of the defense will catch him. Their best chance is to pop it quick right through the middle, straight ahead power. That's his best. That's the best thing that Emmitt does. He runs straight ahead, keeps those feet low to the ground, and gets going.
Douglas looks at a defense he is not happy with, and the Gators call a timeout with 2 minutes and 31 seconds left to play in this opening period. And here's a look at the final tallies in the Heisman Trophy race. Our congratulations to Andre Ware of the Houston Cougars, who wins it for 1989. Anthony Thompson of Indiana finishes second, then Major Harris, Rice, and Hagan. And the numbers simply incredible. Those are updated through today in the win by Houston over Rice. 4,699 yards and 46 touchdowns.
Now that's one shy of Jim McMahon's record for touchdown passes in a season, and a very similar thing to what Barry Sanders of Oklahoma State did last year. He just took the Heisman with the numbers. He was consistent all year.
You get a good look from behind at that offensive huddle. You see big John Durden, 6'6", 272-pound senior. He's out of Alachua, not too far from Gainesville, playing in his last outing against Florida State. Douglas rolls the pocket, had a man open and underthrew him. That was Terrence Barber he was seeking at the 45.
That's going to be roughing the passer on Kirk Carruthers. This will be a first down for Florida. He came in late and put Donald Douglas on the ground. Douglas rolling left, and this pass just poorly thrown. And watch, this Carruthers coming late, putting him on the ground, following through, making sure, and you saw the flag go by. It's a good call by the official.
Ball, roughing the passer, defense.
Kev, the thing about with the penalties tonight, we've had very few of the 5-yard variety. They've all been the majors, all personal fouls for the most part.
As you get down to the end of the year and traditional rivalries, you start to get the bigger penalties. I wonder why. 4 for 42, 4 for 50. Those are big numbers here in the first quarter.
Bobby Bowden's ball club won big last year up in Tallahassee. But so far, they're involved in maybe a little bit more than they anticipated early on in this one. Short drop, thrown complete, and hit immediately as Lomack, as Butler was all over it.
Leroy Butler sitting out there watching Douglas's eyes. Had he come up on the other side, he might have wound up with the ball. It's a good play by Leroy Butler. A safety, actually, turned into a corner by necessity. Florida State needed him out there, and he's become one of the finest corners in the nation.
You know, another part of the story on Butler is he was very tough to recruit. He lived in a very rugged neighborhood. Emmett Smith, left side, has 5, breaks off the tackle, will add a couple of more, and he will have the first down. Dinkins finally made the stop.
Florida going unbalanced left, a man over, whatever you want to call it. They had an extra man on the strong side, and they just ran Emmett over there and let him find his hole. Came very close to a first down. And another flag looks like it's down.
Another flag on the field. And you see the Florida State defense taking a long walk back.
Non-contact ball. Defense.
He said non-contact foul, so undoubtedly somebody got it for verbal abuse, either at the other team or at one of the officials. At the 29. Douglas, pressure is on, and Anthony Moss will drop him for a loss at the 35.
Well, they saw something immediately when Florida shifted that way. Here's Moss, number 99. He's coming. Beats the fullback's block, and he just Douglas dead to rights.
Well, what the coaches are going to say is he didn't really beat a block because there was no block thrown by Perry. He just let him go by and sacrificed his quarterback. Donald Douglas out of Liberty, Texas, 6'2", 190 pounds. Linebackers in the inside, coming pass is thrown complete to Simmons, bumped out of bounds by Butler.
Butler's pass complete to Simmons.
Well, we talked about at the head of the show. These are good completions, but they need to go downfield with long yardage. Now here's Douglas coming out and does a real nice job throwing the ball to Simmons, but it's only a short gain. It's still going to be 3rd and 13. In order to make this defense honest, they need to go downfield to the wide receiver.
Emmett Smith cannot get out of the grasp of Leroy Butler. Then breaks away and is going to be met by 3 more Seminoles. Here comes another marker. Simmons and Thompson got into it after the play was over. Personal foul against Florida.
Boy, this is a shame that this is happening in this game.
Well, let's see if we can seek it out here.
All right, Emmett going laterally. Here comes Leroy up, and he's going to make the tackle. Well, let's see what got everybody upset. And maybe they thought it was a face mask, but it wasn't.
Well, Emmett got back up, not thinking his knee was down. And so Florida State continued on the play.
Well, we can't see anything from that. But
And then away from that is when Thompson and Stacy Simmons, which is clearly a mismatch, 6'3", 248, and Simmons is only 181 pounds. And look at the personal fouls already in this ball game.
Well, they were almost in field goal range. You could see Bobby Bowden and Thompson's trying to tell Bobby, I didn't do anything. Bobby saying, well, wait a minute.
Now they have just gotten Florida State for a verbal.
Jump off ball. Unsportsmanlike conduct.
Unsportsmanlike.
Defense. Step 4 down.
First a personal foul against Florida. Now unsportsmanlike conduct against the Seminoles. I truly hope we can get out of this without a real ugly mass thing happening, but I'm afraid that's where we're headed.
I've never seen anything like this, this early, this many.
John David Francis, meanwhile, comes on to attempt a field goal of 46 yards. His longest is 37 this year. Florida State now has called a timeout.
Timeout, Florida State.
Well, I mentioned off the top of the telecast, it would almost appear that Thompson's been, we have not had a report of an ejection, but he's reacting as though that he has been ejected for the game. Either that or whatever happened between Stacy Simmons and himself really chapped him severely.
Well, under no circumstances should this happen, and the coach need to be able to control Shelton Thompson. He should not be allowed to act like that on the sideline. There's absolutely no way that a game should deteriorate to this point this early in the game.
He has been ejected from the game, and we thought so with that reaction. So the situation, it is a 4th down. The ball is at the Florida State 29-yard line. You know, we mentioned that this rivalry is, well, the series actually, the rivalry is very old, but the series is relatively young. Florida State until the late 40s, a women's school, and then actually it came by pressure through the legislature that these two teams get together and play.
Well, Florida, of course, Florida is the program of tradition, and you said at the head of the show, there is no team, even though Florida State and Miami is a national rivalry, and most people are familiar with that rivalry, there is no team on the schedule that Florida State would rather beat than the University of Florida, and vice versa. This is one of those rivalries, very heated, but again, it should not come to this.
Francis at attempt to 46. Got the distance, and he's good. Now 8 of 13 on the season for John David Francis. And we have a 7-3 ball game with only 20 seconds left in this first period.
It's early in the second quarter with Florida State leading Florida 7-3. As we pick up the action, Florida has the ball on their own 39-yard line, right here on ESPN Classic.
And let's correct one piece of information we gave you just a bit earlier. We have now learned from the officials that Shelton Thompson has not been ejected from the game. He is now on the field. Coach Bowden held him out the last series. We were given information first that he had, but now he's back in. Emmett Smith at the 23-yard line.
How much do you think this game means to Emmitt Smith? The Heisman went to Andre Ware this afternoon. Emmitt wasn't even close. He's rushed for almost 1,500 yards, and this, folks, is a great back who has run all year without the benefit of a strong passing game. 38 yards. Stacy Simmons, wide receiver. Great block.
7 carries, 55 yards for Emmitt Smith. Willem McClendon checks in a tailback. Takes it at left tackle. Carruthers and Henry Ostaszewski combine on the stop. It'll be no gain.
One of the more difficult things for Florida and for Emmitt Smith, 7 rushes, 55 yards on the evening, has been Donald Douglas, the freshman quarterback. Whitey, Jordan told us that you can't audible. He's just now getting into audibles because he was thrown into the action, and he's just a freshman. He's going to have to call timeout. The closer he gets to the end zone, the more difficulty he has being a youngster.
Timeout is called by Florida. We're going to hold it right here. Whitey Jordan said that he is becoming more comfortable, but there are some things that still obviously confuse him because he just hasn't seen it that many times. Penalties in the ball game, 83 against Florida State, 69 against Florida. Total yards, the Seminoles with a slight edge there, 121 to 85. Anthony with a TD reception, 62 yards. And Francis with his longest field goal of the season, 46 yards. And that's how we stand at 7-3.
Well, that Florida defense, the Florida State offense, averaging 36 points a game on the year, one of the more high-powered offenses. The Florida defense holding them so far in this game. Back to Douglas. He now has gotten into basic audibles where he will audible away from the strength of the defense, but he just has a one-play audible and they have to stick to it. He has to find a blitz if he thinks there's a blitz and make the audible. It really limits the offense, and when you get down close like this with a freshman quarterback who has to make quick decisions and get rid of the ball, it can really be a problem. It's down here that you might see the option. There's a look at Whitey Jordan.
On the right of the screen, Whitey Jordan, offensive coordinator for the Gators. Emmett Smith, little counter action, breaks it open, down to the 4.
Great blocking in the middle of the line. Of course, this is basic here. When you have Emmett Smith, if you can break him loose. Cal Dixon, the center. Mark White, the guard, and here comes Emmett. Butler, nice block on Butler. And Emmett just driving and driving towards the end line.
Well, let's look at the Gators and their proficiency inside the 20. 30 of 32 possessions. They have scored. Emmett Smith. Down to the 1.5-yard line. Keith Carter wraps him up.
Just power football here. That's a power line formation. 2 fullbacks in the backfield. Just give it to Emmett.
You know, another thing about Douglas that the coaches have talked about that really have made them smile even more about the young freshman is his take charge ability. They say he's showing great leadership.
Well, there's no doubt he'll be a great one. He just got thrown in a little early.
Emmett Smith, no place to run. He'll lose a yard. Shelton Thompson on the bottom of that pile.
Penetration, kill you on the goal line. Here comes Florida State. They're just coming. That's what you do, especially against that power eye. See how they stop the blocking in the backfield? And Thompson closes from the outside, but there's about 6 players for Florida State on top of Emmett Smith. And here's a tough spot for the freshman. This is where I look for some kind of option.
3rd down. Goal to go, Florida. Pitch to Simmons, touchdown. Stacy Simmons, a senior out of Clearwater, Florida, with his 2nd touchdown of the year, his 1st rushing. Francis with the extra point, and he's good.
All right, it's a dive option. You have to respect it off the power eye. Look, you have to respect Emmett Smith. 4.2840 for Stacy Simmons. Good night once he's outside, and he is in. Florida leads.
Huge underdogs, but they don't know it. The Gators on top.
With Florida leading Florida State 10-7 late in the 2nd quarter, the Seminoles move the ball downfield behind the arm of Peter Tom Willis. We pick up the action still late in the 2nd quarter as Florida State has the ball on the Florida 17, 3rd down and 4, here on ESPN Classic.
3rd down. They need the 12. Willis over the middle, complete to Johnson. 1st and goal, Florida State.
I'll tell you, there was no defense. I was watching Johnson on that. It was not a great move, but that ball was in the air before he even made his cut. There was no way to stop that pass. Peter Tom, now right now, Johnson has his back to him, and he throws it and hits him as soon as he turns around. The coverage was excellent, but the pass was perfect.
From the 6, goal to go. Carter to the 3. Jerry Odom, number 57, gets off the bottom of the pile.
Most great defenses are very, very outstanding on the goal line. The Florida defense has problems on the goal line because they're so small, and you really don't move around a great deal on the goal line. You need to hold your ground and your space. And you're talking about Murray at 240 pounds, Culpepper at 250, Philip Johnson at 257 maybe. These people are not all that big.
Bennett, first man through, and he's going to be hit maybe back to the line of scrimmage and pick it up about a half yard. But Mark Murray, who had the really good game against the Auburn Tigers, he's only a junior out of Zellwood, made first contact.
He was a linebacker. They had to move him down. They had to get him on the field. He was too good to keep as a backup linebacker. He stepped inside the gap and made the play.
Third down Seminoles. They are 2 yards away, trailing by 3 to the Florida Gators, and we're about to hit 3.5 minutes until halftime. Pitch goes to Carter, and they're going to run the reverse to Dawson. Florida right there, and they'll knock him down for a 6-yard loss. It's Barkley.
Well, I just said it's a small defense, and their weakness is straight ahead, but their strength is lateral pursuit. You have to love Bobby Bowden for calling it, but look at these guys. Look at Huey. Huey's as quick as he can be. Bartley was never fooled. There's Murray, a lineman. I mean, these guys can get up and run, and they did. And lateral pursuit is what stopped that play, the strength of the Florida defense.
Andrews to attempt a 25-yard field goal. On its way, and we're tied. So with 2 minutes, 38 seconds left in the second quarter, 10-10.
We rejoin the game early in the third quarter with Florida and Florida State tied at 10. Florida State has the ball on their own 37-yard line, first down and 10 after forcing a Gator punt.
Now the chant goes on. Will the offense hear it? Willis under heavy pressure, and he'll be sacked at the 35. Richardson and more.
But again, the pressure came from the outside. Florida has done a tremendous job on first down, keeping Florida State from getting the advantage offensively. A great job on the outside, forcing him up into the pocket where the inside pursuit was able to stop him.
I'll tell you, he didn't have a part of the tackle, but who's done a great job tonight is Philip Johnson, the freshman out of Clinton, Mississippi. He was the man with the initial force from inside.
13 of 22 players on the defense, freshman or sophomore for Florida.
Willis going to go for it all. Into double and triple coverage, way overthrown. It will be 3rd and 11.
And we've got a flag in the backfield.
And that's going to be another face mask call against the Seminoles.
And the only thing we haven't seen tonight is somebody's head getting run into a turnbuckle. I'll tell you what, they're not jumping off the top rope, but this thing has really had some penalties.
Face mask. 67 offense.
It's a rare situation in college that they give the number.
Yeah, he'll be pleased. That's 2 in a row.
Kevin Mancini. There you can see Richardson going by. That's where the call came. Tied at 10 with 9 minutes, 29 seconds left in the third period. So with a 15-yard penalty, the Seminoles will snap the ball from their own 21. To pick up the first down, they need to go to their own 47.
Well, we've seen a lot of this tonight, haven't we? A lot of tough situations for Florida State's offense, courtesy of the Florida defense.
They set screen to the left. Bennett gets by the tackler. He's open at the 40, at the 50, and will have the first down. Out of bounds at the 41-yard line of Florida. Fain saved it, but it's a gain of 38.
And Ephesians Bartley was right there, very similar to the last play. He was there, and I don't know what happened to him. He clapping his hands, he had it. Watch 44, right side of your screen when he comes into the picture. He's right there. Somehow he took an inside pursuit, and he let Bennett get loose on the sideline.
Kevin, you know what it appeared? He is a real hitter, which you could see when he really nailed Carter a while ago. He could have been coming up for another explosion hit, and it threw him off. Yeah. You know, instead of just bending the knees and locking in on him.
Good point.
Draw play to Carter. Spins off one tackler and will take it down to the 37. Moore and Philip Johnson combining in the stop.
Thing to look for here. That was a big play for a couple of reasons. Probably the biggest reason is that the Florida defense is not very deep. They run a lot sideline to sideline, a lot of twists, a lot of games, and they get tired. They're not big, they're not deep, and their depth has been a problem. Late in the game, they can wear out. You made this point earlier on, and for the folks at home, if you'll watch the twist and the stunts that they use up front, bigger than Florida State fits with it. Yep.
Here comes Bartley on the blitz again. Peter Tom Willis going for the end zone, looking for Anthony, and it is knocked away. Kerry Watkins with the cover.
You just can't do any better than that defensively. Here they come. They're coming off Peter Tom. He's just laying it up there and hoping he can complete it. But watch Kerry Watkins get right in the chest. That was perfect coverage by Kerry Watkins.
You know, the only other team that we have seen this year that covered Florida State deep were the Clemson Tigers.
Right.
And that's the last time we saw the secondary just run step for step with them and knock passes down.
This is an amazing effort by the Florida defense.
Average yards on third down, 12 for Florida State. That's a long way. Over the middle, zips it to Johnson. He will have the first down, and I'll tell you, White saved a touchdown. That side of the field had been cleared.
Gators come with a full blitz, and Peter Tom got the protection he needed. He read it. Watch him up front. Here they come, all of them. It's man coverage, and he hits Johnson right on the number. That's just a great pass by Peter Tom. The other side of the defender, and a nice tackle. But that's what great quarterbacks do. They read defenses, and they find the open man.
It's also what makes Florida State so difficult.
Yep.
You get them down, and then the next thing you know, they throw a screen pass for 38, and then a play like that. Willis with a short drop look in. Lassane at the 5. He'll score.
Watch the blocking by the offensive line. They lift the defense right off their feet and dump them. Here they come off of Peter Tom. Watch the middle there. Boom. Right up in the feet. Great pass by Peter Tom. And now you're going to see some fatigue by the secondary. Fain hanging on. Bartley getting there late. Florida getting tired. Just great execution by Florida State.
Richie Andrews to attempt the extra point, and the Seminoles are up by 7. So Lassane breaks the tie on a perfect pass from Peter Tom Willis. 8 minutes left in the third.
At the start of the fourth quarter, Florida State leads Florida 17-10. Florida has the ball on the Florida State 30-yard line. First down and 10 after a Seminole turnover.
Rough Franklin and Kevin Kiley in Gainesville, Florida. 17-10, Florida State on top, but they have just fumbled, and the Gators have taken it over. And a new quarterback, number 15, Lex Smith, the freshman out of Dade City, Florida. 6'2", 201 pounds. He's only thrown 18 passes in his career. Emmett Smith spins off the tackle. Will have one, maybe a couple more, as Keith Carter nailed him pretty good, and he still got away from it.
The reason that they put Lex Smith in the game was because their passing game, they had people open. They had wide receivers, they had people down the middle open, and Florida State was not able to cover him, but Douglas was not able to hit him. And this makes it a new ball game as they get in close. Emmett 24 for 130. They're going to have to respect the fact that Lex Smith throws the ball a little bit better.
Pitches it to Emmett, fights forward. That's a Florida first down at the 18-yard line. James Chaney tripped him up.
Well, you think about the Heisman Trophy today, and congratulations to Andre Ware. But I think the people around the country can see what a great back this is. Virtually with no passing game at all for most of the season. Since the suspension of Kyle Morris, Emmett Smith has just run the ball, and he's up over 1,500 yards for the year.
You could see the blitz coming on as Emmett carries it for a couple, maybe three. Kirk Carruthers, 45, along with Keith Carter, combining on the stop. 17-10, Florida State on top. They had intercepted a pass. McCorvey came up with it, had the ball at the 1-foot line, picked up a very big first down, and then Bennett fumbled at the 30. That's the reason for the Florida drive right now. Smith behind his blocker, dodges one, can't get by Carter, and we have called 59 many times tonight. Keith with a very good performance.
The thing that makes Emmett Smith so tough is that he does not commit until he's absolutely sure. And watch his shoulders, he gets them square, but he hasn't hit full stride. He's got both feet on the ground and then able to make a decision to go forward. He's always ready to explode. He reminds me a great deal of Tony Dorsett. He doesn't have the speed, but how Tony used to hop with both feet and always be ready to just go. 27 rushes, 140 yards. Pretty good.
Third down. Here comes the blitz. Smith running for his life and just throws it away. Kirk Carruthers was all over it.
That's an excellent defensive call by Florida State. Mickey Andrews is the defensive coordinator. They know they have a young quarterback in there, been in there for one series. He has to make a decision close to the goal line. Don't give him any time. Send some people after him, and it worked.
John David Francis to attempt a field goal. He hit one earlier in the ball game. He is 8 of 13, and this an attempt of 33 yards from the right hash mark. Plenty of distance, and he missed it badly off to the right. So a great opportunity for Florida goes astray. Timeout on the field. Well, part of the over 75,000 on hand tonight in Gainesville, Florida. Seminoles with the football at their own 20. They lead by 7. Carter. Great move, great second move, and he's loose down the sideline. They'll step him out of bounds at the 35.
All right, again, remember what we talked about, depth and fatigue on the Florida defense. They're going to come up the middle. There's Moore, takes a false step, and he's blocked. This tackle caught inside, and now he's down the side. Here comes Carter, and the pursuit is going to drive him out of bounds, but that's what happens. When you get tired defensively, your legs can't keep up with your upper body. You wind up lunging, and this has been Florida's problem, I believe, for a few years. They've had some depth problems on defense, and they've just kind of worn out towards the end of games.
Carter again, little stagger step. Loose in the secondary again at the 45 and close to midfield. He'll have another first down. Willie White grabbed him that time. And there is going to be a face mask against Florida. Carter now 16 carries, 74 yards.
And of course, this is the brilliance, if you will, of the Florida State offense.
Defense, 5 yards, first down anyway.
Wayne McDuffie is the offensive coordinator, and what they do is they'll pass the ball, and then in the fourth quarter, if they think they've got you on the run, they'll run these draws, they'll run the ball wide and make you chase the ball. They've worn out a lot of teams.
And there's the brain trust for the Florida State Seminoles.
That's Wayne with the headset on, second from the left.
Pitch to Carter. Puts a head down, goes for a couple. Philip Johnson and Huey Richardson combining on the stop. Well, the storyline in this one with the Seminoles leading by 7. Just over 11 to play. Penalties, they have been huge. Look at that. 129 and 128. Florida turnovers. And Emmitt Smith, 140 yards rushing tonight. Peter Tom Willis, 14 of 22, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kevin was 6 of 8, 1 touchdown in the third period. Willis zips it out. Carter, oh, what a move at the 40. Steps out of bounds at the 25-yard line. How did he see him?
He felt him. The great ones feel him. And the great ones get the ball there in time in the right place. Again, the way the pass is thrown. Carter's going to go out and hook up, and he gets the ball. Peter Tom gets him the ball in time. Carter makes the great move and beats Bartley. That's just tremendous skill people. The one thing Florida State has is skill people all over the place. In the backfield and the wide receiver, the Fab Four, we haven't talked much about them. But they don't have to catch passes to make you cover them and open up some of the other parts of the offense.
And now Amp Lee checks in, number 42. We saw him earlier this year.
He's a terror.
He's a speedster. Willis going for the end zone, and it is caught and dropped by Lassine. Had his second touchdown of the night, and he fought it out of his hands.
Richard Fain was waiting for that ball. One of the things you don't want to get caught in a defensive secondary, watch Fain back it up. He has this thing all the way, but see, he lets Lassine get in front of him.
Lassine is 6'4".
Look at Fain. See, Fain losing. He's just looking at the ball, trying to catch it. Didn't have his balance. Lassine almost makes a great play.
Dexter Carter back in a tailback. Short drop, quick out pass. Lassine has this one at the 20-yard line. Fain making the tackle. Oh, it's going to be a third down Seminoles. They still need just outside the 15-yard line for the first down. As we get 10:30 left in the ball game.
Well, they're up by 7. How many times have you seen Bobby Bowden? He knows he can kick a field goal. I wouldn't be surprised if he ran this ball right up the gut.
207 completions, Florida State single-season record. Oh, what a career he's had. You're right, they're going to go with a run. Carter turns the corner. He'll have the first down. Fain and Moore combine in the stop.
When you think pass, they run, and when you think run, they throw it. And that is the strength of Florida State, and they execute. Again, they run wide, and why do they run wide? Well, maybe because they think the legs on the Florida defense are getting a little heavy, and they can beat them to the corner, and that's exactly what happened.
Florida State running into that end zone right there as the chant. Boy, we've heard this chant a few times this year, huh?
5, I think. Or at least five locations.
Bennett Quick handoff, nothing there. It's Huey Richardson. He has been sensational tonight. The All-American outside linebacker, 6'5", 236, a junior from Atlanta.
Hey, another player who's played well is Culpepper. He's been playing against Michael Tanks, who was just named to one of the All-American teams.
And also one of the Outland Award finalists.
Yeah. Tanks, the great center, and Culpepper, a 250-pound sophomore, number 50, has done a super job for Florida. He did on that play. It was him that jammed it, made it go wide.
8th play of the drive. See the middle backers coming on the blitz. Quick pass. It is caught, and Carter ducks underneath. A hit by Bartley again. Willie White finished him off.
Offensive line for Florida State, the thing that's made them so effective and Peter Tom so effective. Watch him chop. They don't give, Odom goes right down, don't give him a chance to get his hands up, and Peter Tom delivers the ball with no hands in his face. Nice play here by Bartley, at least slowing it down, and then White comes up and makes the hit. Pretty good team defense by Florida, considering the blocking by the Seminole.
3rd down. And for the Seminoles, they need just inside the 5-yard line.
This is their draw formation.
Willis feels the pressure, gets it away, Roberts, and he scores.
Bobby Bowden talked about Peter Tom Willis. He said early in his career he didn't make the plays. Watch him here. He's going to start to scramble. He couldn't make a big play, but now he does. He finds the people. A tremendous pass to Roberts, and look at the effort by Roberts getting that ball over the end line before he dropped it.
Richie Andrews kicks it through, and with 8 minutes, 5 seconds left in the ball game, the Florida State Seminoles increase their lead 24-10 as you watch Dave Roberts out of Griffin, Georgia, his 2nd touchdown of this season. 24-10, the Seminoles increase their lead. Bounding to the ground, now picked up at the 15-yard line, breaking off the tackle, Lomack, and he gets lured at the 13-yard line, Chris Hall. Well, earlier Bobby Bowden had this to say about his quarterback, Peter Tom Willis.
The way you separate outstanding quarterbacks from average quarterbacks is not their arms, but their minds, their heads. And Peter Tom has been a great decision maker this year. Because we're going to send 5 people out on most passes. Now the key is finding the right guy, and he has done as great a job with that as any quarterback I've ever coached.
Lex Smith, 2nd series at quarterback. Short drop, whips the pass, has it complete on the near sideline. Ernie Mills has the reception. The numbers on Peter Tom Willis tonight: 8 of 14, 140 yards and a touchdown in the first half, and in the second half he is throwing some strikes. 10 of 13, 136 yards and 2 touchdowns for a total of 276 on the evening.
I think people should realize how difficult it is to sit around for 4 years and keep the edge and learn and get better when you never know if you're ever going to play. The discouragement factor is huge, and he not only overcame that, but he became a great player.
Smith with a play action, going deep, and he has got Simmons open, and he drops the ball at the 30. Oh my goodness.
That was, Simmons made a great adjustment on that play. That ball was underthrown. You could see how disappointed he was, and he probably should have caught the ball, but he was so wide open. This ball just needed to be thrown a little bit further and a little bit higher. Watch Simmons here trying to make that adjustment to catch the ball.
Ran away from it too much, didn't he?
Almost does, yeah. That's just the passing game for Florida. We talked about at the head of the show. They needed to complete passes downfield to wide receivers because Florida State would give them that. And they just have not been able to do it.
Over the middle, incomplete. Lomack, and he was open.
Gary Darnell talked about the wide receivers on this team. These are great players, these wide receivers. They're just flyers and good hands. And he said how frustrated they were getting and how they were fighting their frustration all year, because when they lost Kyle Morris, their passing game pretty much went with them, and they had to turn into blockers. And they've done it. They've tried to block and block well for Emmett, but you know, wide receiver wants to catch the ball, and when you're wide open and the ball doesn't get there, it can be very depressing.
Lex is 1 of 4 for 11 yards. On third down on the run, throws a tough pass and has it complete to Ernie Mills. They will pick up the first down as Reagans finally makes the stop out across the 50-yard line. That's 24 yards.
Smith did a nice job of finding the receiver. Now, it's not too late in this game. We've got 7.5 minutes, but the Gators have to get into the end zone soon.
Throwing across the body, or as some say, going against the grain with the roll is not easy either. And you can see Smith, who is a good-sized physical specimen at 6'2", 201 pounds, zipped it very well. Short drop over the middle, has it complete to Barber at the 25-yard line.
I think you can see how good these receivers are. When the ball is there, they're pretty good. Now here's Leroy Butler, just playing a little bit of prevent, very soft zone, letting them go, keeping it in the middle. It's almost like a prevent. This is Florida State is playing a softer zone now. And they're going to make Florida beat him in the air.
Carruthers on the blitz. Emmett Smith had one man to beat and had huge yardage in front of him, tackled at the 20. And Leon Fowler's the one that saved a lot more yardage.
Chris Bromley, 257-pound guard, was loose in the secondary ahead of Emmett. Clock is moving.
6.5 minutes to play. Seminoles by 14. Florida driving. Carruthers again in the blitz. Smith with a pass, has it complete. That's Kirkpatrick, the tight end. Hit by John White. And it's going to be third down. And they need to achieve the 15-yard line. They're about 2.5 yards away.
Lex Smith is beginning to get his rhythm. He's a fellow that earlier in the year was going to transfer. He left the team, was going to transfer to a school in Georgia, either Georgia Tech or Georgia. Decided to come back and stick it out, and now finds himself in what is the biggest game of the year.
Emmett Smith on the pitch. Has the first down to the 13-yard line. Eric Hayes and Dinkins combine on the tackle. 5:38 left in the ball game, and if the Gators get in here, hang on.
You gotta love Emmett Smith. Emmett takes the pitch, just puts his nose right in the back of that offensive lineman and goes. And pro scouts gotta love this guy. He knows how to get upfield as good as any back as I've seen. He doesn't lose yardage. He'll turn those shoulders up and go for it.
Smith's going to run at the 10, down to the 5-yard line. Carruthers saved a touchdown.
Great decision by Lex Smith. They've had real trouble here getting into the end zone. Now all night, Florida's been close. They haven't been able to convert. He didn't waste any time. He turned it upfield, tried to put it in.
Clock runs now with 4 minutes and 47 seconds. Pitch to Emmett. Cuts it up. Hit hard from behind, but he'll go to the 2. That's Dinkins who grabbed him.
That'll be a first down.
First and goal, Florida Gators.
of insidious when you think about Florida's strength is their running game, but the time running out, they have to run. They're much better trying to run it in, but it's going to, if it takes them 2 or 3 downs, it's going to cost them valuable time.
Emmett Smith hurdles, touchdown.
Couldn't be more appropriate. Emmett Smith over the best offensive lineman, Cal Dixon, the center, 59. With a block, Emmett goes airborne and gets in.
John David Francis, as you look at it one more time, coming straight at you. Emmett now with 153 yards. Francis trying to make it a 7-point ball game. And he does. Oh my goodness. 4 minutes and 8 seconds left. 24-17 Florida State. Kicks it away to Dexter Carter's side. He will catch it. It goes out of the side of the end zone, and the Seminoles will take it at the 20-yard line. Zips it out, has it complete to Terry Anthony, will be tackled at the 28. Bartley, number 44, is over to grab it.
Another great catch. And again, Florida State, their passing game is their running game and vice versa. They don't even think about running the clock out. Here they go. Tremendous pass by Peter Tom and sure-handed receivers, which we've been kind of talking about Peter Tom, but these guys, if you get it close to them, they're going to catch it. Big series for the Florida defense.
Blitz is on. Carter gets by him. 35 out to the 38. Huey Richardson made the stop.
Boy, when they were there, now they blitz both inside linebackers. Odom will get right in the backfield, but loses his feet. Watch 57. He got right to there, gets a cut block. And Carter makes the great inside move, beats Moore, gets loose for the first down. Have to start over now.
He's got 95 yards on this evening himself as we go under 3 minutes.
Very quietly, isn't it? Very quietly, they get their running yardage.
Bennett straight ahead. Florida there for that one is Dexter Smith and Tony Rowell combined on the stop.
Florida has all 3 of their timeouts. Florida State won't be using theirs right now. Pretty soon, Gators are going to have to use one.
Gary Darnell pacing the near sideline. His ball club trails by 7. Blitz again. Willis for the far side of the field. Reggie Johnson, the tight end, the intended receiver. Jerry Odom, the right inside linebacker, number 57, was all over Peter Tom as he got the pass away.
And Odom's got to be the most frustrated guy on the entire field. He has been so close so many times, and they have blitzed him continually. And that Florida defense has to be tired, but they have hung in there now. Now they've got another shot, 3rd and long. He reads blitz now. He's going to go to that hot receiver, probably in the short zone over the middle.
Willis, there he is, Terry Anthony, and he breaks away from the tackle inside the 30 down to the 24.
remind you of Joe Montana?
He does this.
Boy, he can read some defense. Peter Tom Willis. Dropping straight back, wanting to see full blitz. There's Anthony, hooked up under the zone, short up the middle. White comes along and makes the tackle a little late. But that's just great communication between the receiver and the quarterback. Gary Darnell knows he wants to get that offense on the field. Ouch.
Straight ahead to the 22. Barkley up in the secondary. You can see Florida calling a timeout following the short gain. So let's take a break. 24-17, Florida State on top. Ron Franklin and Kevin Kiley in Gainesville, Florida. We've had some great ones, Kev, this year on Saturday nights. This one just falls in line. And we have seen some great athletes like this young man right here. And the question is, he's only a junior. Will he return to this campus next year? He says right now he is undecided.
Well, I think a lot has to do with the Florida situation, who comes in here and what happens. I'd love to see him in college football for another year.
Pitch to Dexter Carter. Spins off a tackle. He goes inside the 20-yard line. It's going to be third down at about 3. The numbers on Willis tonight, 20 of 30 for 319 yards, 3 touchdowns. And a timeout called again, this time by Florida. So we'll take another break with 1:22 left in the ball game. Peter Tom Willis, what a night he's had. Well, the Seminoles a minute 22 seconds away from keeping their record after the first 2 games this year perfect. Movement on the line of scrimmage. Marker goes down. Looking pass is caught by Dawsey, but they'll bring it back as there was motion in the Florida State backfield.
Everybody was coming for Florida. That's an incredible catch by Dawsey. And throw again by Willis.
Dawsey, for the most part, has been silenced tonight. He was the leading receiver for the Seminoles coming into the ballgame with 37 catches, 4 touchdowns, 673 yards. And you saw the reason why on that catch right there. Something we had talked about earlier this year. Extremely tough and really almost enjoys going across the middle.
That was a tremendous catch.
In the second half, on third down conversions, the Seminoles in the second half, and it's been a big key, 5 of 6. Willis drills it, almost intercepted. Fine defensive play by Miles.
I'll tell you what, you have to hand it to this Florida defense. They have to be exhausted. Very few substitutions the entire game, but they're still hanging in there. With a minute 2 to go now, we've got a 4th down. And Seminoles going to try a field goal. You see Gary Darnell, he's talking about block this thing.
Richie Andrews will come out to attempt the field goal of 41 yards. Has the distance, and he is off the mark. Look at the expression on that man's face. Gary Darnell knows they still had 58 seconds left in the ball game, and on the last possession, by throwing the ball with Lex Smith, they moved it rapidly.
But I have to tell you something. We spoke to Gary Darnell this week. And look at the body English. And he told us, yeah, we've lost 3 games, but we had a Hail Mary at the end of every one of those games to either tie or win. And he'll have that again here.
To make that point again, you made off the top of the telecast. They have been in every ball game that they played this year. Pressure on Smith. Ball is thrown complete to Emmitt Smith on the near sideline. Bryce Abbott pushed him out of bounds, but it's just shy of the 35.
Well, what a play by Lex Smith.
Boy, that showed a lot of fortitude.
Boy, I tell you, he's gotten better. He started out a little shaky, but he has really come on.
He had and the student body coming on it. He's now 5 of 8, 78 yards. Steps up into the pocket, now gets pressure. All he could do was run, and he'll take it to the 40. Kirk Carruthers, and you can see Gary Darnell wants a timeout. Clock is down to 40 and now 39. And that will be the final timeout for the Florida Gators.
Well, another problem with a young, inexperienced quarterback. He came in with 18 throws this year. How do you get timeouts? How do you get him to throw it out of bounds? I mean, these are things that you only learn by playing.
And people talk about, well, what about practice? You can't simulate game conditions on the practice field.
No, you can't. And the pressure and the excitement, and it's just a whole different thing.
Not unless you could get 75,000 to come to practice.
Yeah. Well, they might do that here in Florida. There's a lot of enthusiasm down here, as we saw.
Well, coming up next, college football scoreboard. We'll have a few minutes of that, then at 11 o'clock. Don't miss it. A mad scramble. That's a special look at this year's Heisman Trophy race, and what a close one it was. And then at 11:30, it's Sports Center to wrap up everything else that has gone on in the world of sports today, other than college football. Got stepped on by his center, Dixon, and he fell down.
Got to get his wide receivers back. They're all the way down the field. Florida State has 6 defensive backs in.
Zips it out. Emmitt Smith drops the football, and probably a good thing he did. He was only going to pick up about 5 yards in the play. Now 16 ticks left on the clock.
Barring penalty, 2 plays.
Kevin, that's another thing with the new quarterback. Cal Dixon, maybe not accustomed to the steps. Maybe doesn't get out quite as quickly from under center as Donald Douglas.
Well, you know, I
accidentally got on his foot, and the youngster fell down.
I think you're right. I think most people realize, you say new quarterback, can he throw the ball? That's just one thing you have to do. You have to have your steps and your cadence and all of those things, and this has got to be difficult for Lex Smith.
Looking to the near sideline, incomplete. Tony Lomack, the intended receiver. Down to 10 seconds. And with that, 4th down, and Florida State will capture this one 24-17. As Lex Smith with a valiant effort, it is passed on the near sideline, going out of bounds and incomplete.
And all things considered, I think Gary Darnell, whether he gets a job at Florida or not, has done a remarkable job keeping this thing together. This is one of the fine football teams in the nation. You're talking about 4 losses now by a total of 22 points on the year, and there never probably was a more impossible job than the one he undertook here, and he's done a great job.
And on the other side of the field, the story is a wondrous one for Bobby Bowden. They dropped their first 2 ball games and then have been perfect coming down the stretch. And there's Bob Goyne, the interim athletic director, standing next to Bobby on the far sideline, and the clock will run down. And the Seminoles of Florida State will win the state championship in 1989. Tonight's final score, Florida State 24 and Florida 17. And tonight's Visa players of the game are from Florida State, Peter Tom Willis. His numbers 20 of 30, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And from the University of Florida, Emmitt Smith, 30 carries, 153 yards, and 1 touchdown. That is a part of their continuing development of amateur athletics. Visa is proud to donate $1,000 to each of these universities and $1,000 to the U.S. Olympic team. So Bobby